How you guys doing today? I did a video way back called Crossing Over or Crossing Two Worlds, and where that stemmed from was how essentially, if you're on the internet, your internet life will come into your real life, right? But it's only if you kind of try to keep it secret or separate from what you're doing. I don't hide the fact I'm a reverend. I don't hide the fact that I started a church. I don't hide the fact of any of that shit. So when I go off and I had literally like a semicircle of my classmates asking me, "Yeah, I heard you're a reverend." I started talking. I said, "Well, I don't hide it, man. This is what I do." In fact, welding might be a source for me to meet my goals doing what I'm doing. I got alumni making $250,000. I have job sites that are offering 40 to 50,000 start. So when you look at something like that, it's not too hard for me to, preach on. So I told them that, I'm a little different than the other fucking preacher out there and all that. And I went off on my 4-letter word tangent. And of course I got these guys going, because I'm running off a mouth like a longshoreman. And I'm like, well, think about it. A substantial part of the reason why I have such a unique and pretty vernacular as a minister is to dispel a emperor style look at ministers. A lot of people see a person behind the pulpit and they think that's it, man. You don't need to read a book. You don't need to understand yourself. You just have to be directed by this fucking idiot behind the podium telling you what to do. I think it's bullshit. I think, for my opinion, if any type of spirituality, you must know yourself. You must do things for yourself. And you got to be self-directed. The people who stand behind a podium, whether they're dictating with a finger pointed, or if they are just sharing their experience, or even their opinion, what you take from it may benefit from you, but it's not something that you are going to be guided blindly for. You're not going to just do it because this asshole tells you to do it, but you're going to go off and maybe research it. You might find something that suits you, like, yeah, that fucking makes sense, and you go off and you do it. Another reason why the way I am is because, like I told the guys at the classroom, I said, at 43 years old, I'm single. I like women. But people want to sit there and put a fucking morality thing on me. Well, if I'm in a paradigm that accepts and includes over 60 religions, a single religion will have its own form of morality that's instilled upon its ministers. Like if you're a Catholic, you see a Catholic priest, the likelihood of seeing him walking out of a strip club would be minimal. You will see me there, but you won't see them there. You get what I'm saying? So I said, I do what I do as it suits me. I say what I say because it suits me and it's who I am. But people are going to put me up saying, well, and the funny thing is, if they put you up to a pedestal behind the pulpit for standards, for morality, what happens is it's a fail. Just like any other organized religion telling you your 10 commandments, for instance, it will be a fail because it's a commandment against human nature. I'm not against human nature. I understand it very well, and I understand myself very well. So if I do something that might be immoral to someone's eyes, it's subjective. It's immoral to them, not me. And a base ground philosophy of doing what I want to do without hurting another person is fine with me because it works for me. And I tell other people, and if you don't like what I say or do, get the fuck out. I don't want your ass in my church. And these guys, again, in my class, I have I don't know how many I have. Well, we have standing room. We got people. We don't have enough chairs. We have people standing up. So it's got to be about 45 guys. And literally, the class was in a semicircle while I was just doing my rant about what I do, and you know, I go, I'm sure you don't have other fucking pastors talking like this to you, and they're like, no. I'm like, goddamn Skippy, they don't. And you know, just to break that mold, you know. And everybody likes to do things. I mean, I've bumped into many different pastors of different churches, even evangelists, and they always like to, you know, try to do the what makes you a pastor. In my own paradigm, it's manifestation. It's actually called creating or manifesting. It's development. It is making something, and it's not like Shazam. You're instantly a minister, but you have to be something. And I see my role as a pastor for what I'm doing as more administrative, because I'm dealing with well over 60 paradigms now in my online fellowship. So for me, it's like to talk to other priest, high priest, whoever, the titles are out there. I'm dealing with them directly. And it's not a one-uppance over them. It's just that I see it as administrative. Once the church is in fruition, it's an administrative role. But I am a minister, and I had created a paradigm through Access Sanctuary and Chapels, so it's a universalist coexist church. And what we believe and what we believe is actually written in the Articles of Faith, in my listings of LinkedIn, our main website, the whole 9 yards. So for me, it's like, it's not a hidden secret what I'm striving for, what I'm doing. But when you got people who live in country land, where you get the stereotypical banjos playing, deliverance, Well, of course they don't hear about me, because they don't hear is Jesus is Lord, So when they see my silly ass, they're like, what the fuck's this guy all about? So it's kind of funny. But as I told one guy from last semester, I go, the only reason why they were paying attention to me is I'm new, and the novelty will wear off in 3 or 4 weeks, just like it did with you. And that's where I just said that, and everybody they know how to take they don't know how to take me yet, let alone the Access Sanctuary and Chapels. They don't know how to take my philosophical stance. Not my paradigm, but just my philosophical stance about religions, plural, and how how it affects humanity, and how people are sheeple, and I'm trying to see if I can break that habit by just being something that doesn't exist, and that is some foul mouth, outspoken, but yet somewhat well-spoken person who would catch their attention. Let's face it, if you're in a crowd of 40 people, and imagine if you go to any church and you have a pastor, a preacher, or a minister, or a speaker, or a deacon, and they go over and they want to talk about whatever the fuck, and they're just sitting there, blah 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 blah. The mores, or I don't say mores, the dogma of it, very dogmatic, very and today we're going to talk about. Now, if they were to go up and stub their toe, and they're all screaming, "What the fuck?" That congregation's eyes are going to pop out, ears pop, ears are going to shoot out their earwax, shoot out their ears, eyes popping out, and they'll be like, "Whoa, we just say what?" Shazam. Now, if you get that on a regular dosage, like, I don't have to say that anymore, because they'll be expecting that shit, right? But if you go to regular church, what's going to happen? Oh, it's controversial. It's all, I wouldn't do it on a Sunday morning or family day. I would have to curtail my church. We'll have like an evening with Ronald French, or I have like my own group called The World According to Rev.Ronald French, specifically for people who know me or understand how I talk, that I don't rub them the wrong way, because they know what they're expecting by subscribing to that particular group. I would, in my church, upon fruition, when it's built, I would have to do like an NC-17 type night. Like, it was almost like an improv night with me. I'd be like, hey, how the fuck are you? And that'd be my service. If I do something like on a Sunday afternoon or morning, it'd be more like PG-13. I really couldn't bite my tongue too well, but I can bite it enough where, I'm not going to do blue, as they call it. But that's another thing. I have a lot of people out there that have an issue with blue. Blue is a term for saying fuck shit and 7 other words you can say on the TV, right? George Carlin said this best. And my thinking is, I don't have to, but I don't want to. I mean, I can go and do what I want. I do it, and it's a mental exercise, not for me, but for the people who listen. I have ministers from the Universal Life Church, where I'm a minister with, and I'm a reverend in like 2 other churches, and I created my own, just a FYI, and. And these are the ones that are done through the mail or on the internet for like 5 minutes and $5, and bam, you're a minister. The difference between doing that and doing what I'm doing is night and day. But even when I did the mail order minister, if you would, I advertised myself out to officiate weddings. So I do the one-uppings. It's like, well, yeah, but I advertise myself out doing it. I can legally marry people in the state of Florida. Therefore, what's your problem with me being a minister? See, it's never my problem. It's always some other joker out there saying, you're just a ULC nobody. What they don't realize is the ULC has been a very big church. I mean, physically it's a small little shed of a church, but they own like $16 million worth of fucking real estate. So for a nobody church, they got a lot of shit. They did a bankruptcy not too long ago, and all their assets were public information. So, yeah. So when you got people out there who put down a church, really not knowing anything about it, usually talk out their ass. Right out of their ass and speak out their ass. I mean, these people are just fucking stupid. They don't really know anything about the ULC except for that $5 donation, and you get yourself that little card saying you're a minister. But that's their scope. And that's another thing I want to break, is your scope of attention to what you know, thinking it's gospel. Because if you didn't know about the assets of the ULC, for instance, you would just think it was a $5 donation type of church, right? So what I'm doing is multifold. It's also a multi-exercise, not on my part, but also in yours, and then your receptors of your own mind. Because if you're going to sit there and accept things for what you're being told, or you're going to accept things for what just you know, and then you get a big pie in the face of knowledge getting splashed in your face, just remember, don't flick it off. It's a pie. Eat it. Understand what the fuck it's all about. Go off and investigate yourself. But that's the funny part. Many people don't. In the world of the occult, the word occult means hidden, meaning there's a dark veil that people are afraid to cross because you yourself have to cross it to understand the knowledge of what you're seeking. It's nothing dark or mystical. It's not, bullshit like that. But a lot of occultists would rather explore for themselves the answers they seek than to be spoon-fed. And you'd be surprised how many occultists rather be spoon-fed, and usually more than conventional religion. So go figure, right? So, but anyways, I might jump around a little bit in my topics, but these are the things that pour in my brain as I'm trying to explain this in the camera for the first take. But that's where I come from. So when I'm dealing with crossing over from what I do in my church life and what I do with my class, I don't talk about it unless it's brought up. I don't proselytize. I mean, and it's kind of hard to proselytize in my, because if I'm a church of churches and a place of faiths, then what paradigm? Even though I created one for Access Sanctuary Chapel, being a Universalist coexist, it kind of equates to a ULC's philosophical and religious practice and stance in its own, as it's like, what is it? To do good for others, or the good life, or something like that. It's an expression, but it's also their paradigm. I mean, it's their dogma. It's everything. It's just like a sentence long. It's not extended. It's not a Bible. It's not. So, but people, I think it's why people put it down, is because it's so simplistic. And it was designed that way. But we have a First Amendment in America. I have no problem exercising it. And it's not just about speech. It's also about assembly. It's about worshiping where you want to worship, separation of church and state, that kind of thing. So, for me, I don't proselytize. If people want to know about my church, I'll throw my card and say, here you go, check it out. And they go to the main website and they explore it. And then once they explore it, they understand it's a lot more than just a church per se. And the problem is, too, a lot of people have a perception of a church. They think it's, I'm going to a building, I'm going to a service. I'm going to be entertained. And it's like, no. Congratulations, motherfucker. You're on ground zero. Meaning, if I do a service at all, it'll be on a Sunday at the flea market underneath my tent. And it's going to be a conversation no different than what you'll be receiving here right now. People kind of don't understand that. They want to be, entertained. They want their taint tickled for whatever the fuck reason. Well, you're in the wrong goddamn church. Go find an evangelical one. Go find a pop-up tent guy that wants your money 10 to 1. We need $1,000. Go ahead, see those assholes. They'll tickle your taint. But for me, it's about opening your mind, opening your consciousness, developing a higher state of thinking. And I don't expect to get a lot of people for that, even from the people who actually prescribe to it, because not many people are willing to put in the effort to do what it needs to do for themselves, even as a collective. So for me, I understand the up road, but I don't care. It's more like I'm doing the Cartman roller coaster ride theory. I'm going to build it, and you're not invited. And no, you can't come in. And if you really do come in, well, here are the fucking rules, but you really can't come in. And that's how I'm approaching it. Not in a literal sense, but a philosophical one, because I don't want to cater to fucking bubbleheads. I don't want to cater to yes people. I don't want to cater to the sheeple. I want people to go off and explore for themselves what's right for them and go for it. Even if it's a paradigm I don't like or doesn't agree with me, I still have a ground basis of tolerance to education. If you find something that you like, that I'm like, whatever works for you. I know about it enough where that's fine. I don't put down a religion. If you're an asshole that's religious, that I'll fuck you up, verbally about who you are, but I won't put down your religion. I do have certain proximities or stances where, what we do and what we don't do. And one of the things I changed around a little bit, and for a good reason, was a lot of people are like, I had a friend of mine challenge me on this, and she was great. I like her when she challenges me, because at this point, what do you really include everybody? That kind of shit, And I had to put it in a perspective about it, like, do we really do it? And initial answer is yeah, but then I realized, there are people out there that just do fucked up, twisted shit under the religion guise, meaning they do shit under religion that's not even in their own paradigm, but they do it because they're protected under the word religion. Good example, I've never yet seen anything that said that God hates fags. So with Westboro Baptist Church, are they truly upstanding Christians in the Christian community? Or are they just more like the unspoken cousin at a family reunion? Because you don't see many churches that do protest them in the name of God. Now, do you? So kind of like the crazy Muslims with 200 pounds of C4 strapped to their chest going to a shopping mall. You don't see a bunch of Muslims protesting against them, right? Right, because they're considered Muslims in the Muslim world, therefore, they're bad people, but we're going to, they're family. Same thing with the, Westboro Baptist types, So my attitude is this. Here's my exclusions to my church if you're ever interested about this shit. I have this written down on my Facebook, actually, and I actually put this down on my LinkedIn so that people understand fully. We embrace most paradigms, and I had to put a little asterisk. It says excluding hate groups, violation of age consent laws, gender and race biased. So if you hate fags, you can't come in. I'm LGBT friendly, friends of the family. And then you have age of consent laws. There's actually Christian groups out there one time in the 70s that were promoting pedophilia among their own church group. In the name of Jesus, fucking 12-year-old. So, but the thing is, when it comes to sexuality and morality, it's actually regulated state by state. So in the state of Florida, it has a different regulation than, say, the state of Alabama or Kentucky or Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, that kind of thing. So people who violate that, I don't want you in. If I'm in an area that you're violating that in a stereotypical sense, let's say LDS, and they're marrying their 12 or 14-year-old girls. Well, if the age of consent says they have to be 16 to be even married, then fuck you. You're not being part of my organization because you're violating the law. I think another thing about violating laws would be, and it probably won't be for long. Let's say if the Rastafarians came in, they said, "Hey man, we need to have a place to go." It'll be like, what are the marijuana laws in this state? And how do you balance that? So if marijuana essentially is perfectly legal, you can actually have a Rastafarian temple. So until then, it's state by state basis, right? And I'm not multi-global. I mean, I got a lot of people who read. I got between 150 and 600 readers on my Scoopit account, which is just one of like several different website things I deal with, the blogs. I have approximately 20,000 people that look at my stuff. So for me, I just generate information, and I have people, and I write periodic articles myself, and that's about it. So this is a really long crossing over, but it has to be, because one, I got my classmates watching this, that motherfucker there, that motherfucker there, that motherfucker there. And then I got people who are like, well, what do you do? How do you act? Or what do you do in your private life or your school life? And it's not a goddamn thing. It's all homogenized. I'm not changing who I am because I'm in school. I'm still telling people to fuck off. And then I have people in my church life that are like, how do you deal with the public? And I go, well, tell them to fuck off. I mean, it's no different. I mean, I am who I am, for better or for worse. And some people like it, and some people are appalled by it. So that's why I said, I'm not for everybody. And if I'm not for you, I don't care. It's your problem. I do what I do for me. And what I do, altruistically speaking, or what I'm doing through my church, is to benefit myself along with other people. Because if I break ground and I start building buildings, well, hello. We have something that's protected. We have something that we can do. A lot of people felt as though when I first introduced it, maybe I projected this. They thought it was going to be a safe haven from the bad world outside. I want people to fucking toughen up for the real world outside. So, it's a different philosophy, and it doesn't work well with the fluffy people or the nice people that really truly hug trees and dance with butterflies. Because they don't know how to handle me verbally, how they're going to handle me in real life, right? Anyways, that's just my 2 cents and a little bit of an update of what things are going on. So I wish you guys well. You take care, and see ya.